thing, and as soon as you came in, I should have started, but 1 minute late doesn't matter. So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Yeah, so we were just talking, and the fact that I was saying that conversations that we have, which is not on camera, are some things which might connect with people. So let me just tell people, Alexandra, I did not have a conversation with her saying that I will have it only when we go live.
I confirm.
So I think that this part is something that we were just saying, that the fact that something connects with someone, and we don't know what is going to connect with whom. And just the fact that we are talking about this aspect, that something connects with people by itself, is something which will connect with people.
Hopefully.
Yes. So Alexandra, the only thing is that you have to give an elaborate introduction to yourself first.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Vikram, for inviting me. So I'm Alexandra Wojtowicz, and quickly saying, at the moment I am working with a Swiss NGO helping on the Ukrainian response, and I'm based in Poland. And before this, I am a mechanical engineer by education, who turned out to be a mediator a few years back, and very quickly, so being in research of jobs, I just happened to be in Poland because I know the languages of the area, and this volunteering experience became a humanitarian experience. So this is how I appear here, I guess, very quickly.
This much is only about the fact that the work you're doing, and we are going to be discussing that. What about Alexandra, the person? What are we going to find out about her? About yourself. I mean, there's so much more about yourself that you have to tell us.
Of course. Well, I'm so. You know what I'm happy to share here is about mediation. It's something that I think even you told me that you don't become a mediator, but we all are mediators, right? And I think we just discover it with time and depending on our experience. So in my first part of life, when I used to be working as a mechanical engineer, has been a project manager for 15 years, working internationally in various big companies. And what I realized that what I loved in this job is not really the technical part, unfortunately, although absolutely needed to build some useful infrastructure for people in the world. But what I liked was the team part of the job, the team building part, or the team comprehension of people to be able to make them work together to accomplish the goal we had, and to achieve this, we all needed to overpass our differences, either our differences of languages, of cultures, of expertise, of strategies, of interests, depending which kind of stakeholders you're in the project. And this is the part I remind from my project management expertise and experience in previous work. And this is what led me to mediation. And I was very happy when I discovered this randomly, as usual in life. You encounter the things that are important in your life, like randomly through encounters, like the one we're having now and the one we will have tomorrow, and it's all about this. And so I met some mediators. Oh, wow, this is an interesting activity you have here. Whoa, whoa, really, it's true. It should be needed everywhere, in every job, in every workplace, in every family, everywhere, in fact. And so I offered myself a time, the luxury of time after, and I took a break of job, and then I trained to mediation. It was a 1-year training, and I loved the way it deconstructed the way you approach things, as an engineer. So you learn a lot of rational things, a lot of, result-based stuff and everything. And all about mediation is totally the opposite way around. It's all about being in the present moment, being in what is given to you and not what you can plan to obtain. And all this exercise just been fantastic. So I just loved it. So basically I'm a young mediator. As I started this, if we talk about the certification things, and while trying to develop all these things and meeting people who have their own experience, also I understand very much that mediation is something very much personal, that each mediator is unique. Each mediator has its own color of of mediating, and this is great because it gives you a big part of creativity in your activity, and I think it's something very important for you. For you to be, for me, I speak for me, but for me to be happy, or to be able to keep committing to this kind of activity. So I'm happy I discovered this, and I think you improve all life. It's like an art. It's like an art. So every day brings you new tools, new experience, and I really enjoy this thing. So although I'm not practicing a lot of mediation at the right moment, at this moment now, I'm happy that I found this experience I'm living now, because as I told you, so I was between job and looking for an activity, and was not ready for for a regular job in an office and something. And unfortunately, this terrible war burst out inside Europe, and it's also the first time when a war burst out when I knew people, because in my former job I used to work in Ukraine as well, and as you may see with my last name, it's totally Polish. Although I'm French, my parents are Polish, but I've been raised in France, and so it's the first time I knew people touched by this awful event. So I felt totally cold to be in that area, and use some of the competences I had. So the first I thought of was the languages, because one thing you may not know about me is I like languages, right? Languages is I think is my first mediation experience, in fact, because when you're born when you're a kid of immigrants, well, you definitely you have two languages in your pocket from the start, right? So and it always gives misunderstandings and stuff. So these languages I always loved. So I speak several of them. So Polish, Russian, Italian, English, French, whatever. But the one from the region, so Polish and Russian, have been very much useful, especially I think in this crisis. So I didn't think how easy it would be to find a job. I just said, okay, I'm going to Poland, and I found out how I will help some people. And just when I started to look into all the bunch of information, thousands of WhatsApp groups have been created, Facebook groups, and all kind of information hubs on the topic. And I had not landed on the airport in Krakow, that I already had a French NGO of firefighting men and surgeons picking me up at the airport to go to the border to help them with translation. So it was something to me totally incredible. And well, this first experience with French NGO was great, because they taught me a lot from the NGO world and how it works. And then I found this the second job I'm still in at the moment, and again, I don't know if it's of interest for everyone here, but I found it in a very funny way as well, because the last day of let's say this contract with the first NGO, I took them to a Polish place so that they can have some Polish specialties. I told them you cannot leave Poland without trying pierogi. and this little place at where we were meeting at 10 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, known to nobody, right, was full of international people. It was crazy as Poland, and especially, of course, the part close to Ukrainian, got surrounded by people from all over the world who came in to offer their help. I don't know, everybody says, I'm not experienced in the crisis world. Now I'm listening to what I've heard, that first time such an event brought that many independent volunteers, because it's so easy to go to Poland or to Moldova or to the surrounding countries, because it's Europe. You just get a first flight and you're here. So it was crazy. And so this little city was full of international that the local people have never seen in their life, Indian, Chinese, French, American, all nationality, but they couldn't speak. So we're at this restaurant, and this waitress noticed I speak Polish, but also French and some English. So she called me, could you have me take the order of these guys, because I don't understand what they want from me. Could you help me? I said, okay, sure, let's help her. And then so you see, mediation, cultural, but still mediation. And then one person in the restaurant stopped me and said, but are you really talking all these languages? Well, yes. Might be of help for organization. Are you ready to meet my boss tomorrow? Well, it's my first day of work today, so for sure, let's meet your boss tomorrow. And well, this is how we met, and this is how it started with this NGO I'm working with now. So, well, when you are at the right place, things are going very efficiently. This is my conclusion of this experience, which is not finished because at the moment I just started it. And so here I am in Poland since March. I am responsible for the activity of this Przemyśl city, which is 10 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, which is the first train station in Poland when you're coming from Ukraine. And we are taking care with our NGO of two places. One at the train station, when we take care of a room dedicated to mother and their little kids when they have some time between trains to go further. And the second place, which is a former commercial center, that is a transit place for refugees where they can stay 2 days before traveling forward in Poland or abroad. And wow, and this is something, of course, that has been to explain like this, to say it seems very normal, but this thing I'm just saying has been changing all over the 6 months every day. So, of course, during the first months of war, the flood of people was just crazy, as you may have heard. But now it's more than 5 million in Poland that entered, and this daily influx was crazy. In the center, we had nobody really counted very carefully the numbers, but we could have more than 1,000 people in this place. At the train station, this little place I'm talking about is supposed to have 60 beds, but in the worst cases, you could have 200 people gathered inside, and so it creates a lot of different situations. Yeah, nothing can be planned in the crisis situation. So what is the proper of crisis situation? It's all the mess it creates, of course, all the goodness and all the worst things that are coming at the same times, right? Because a lot are coming to help, a lot are coming to take advantage or disadvantage of the vulnerable people, and so this is why NGO like ours need to be there to try and help and prevent from this kind of dangers. And what is the link for mediation? Maybe here is it's at every moment. Now I realize a bit back, it's at every moment, because it can be when you have to let people enter and there are too many of them, and unfortunately sometimes you just cannot accept everybody, or it's also a lot of cultural differences sometimes. You have, of course, like in every country, in Ukrainian, you've got Ukrainian, but not only Ukrainian, you've got Ukrainian with various background from various other minorities, which creates also tension sometimes. So you have to manage these kinds of things. You have to manage as for myself, I have about 50%. So you have, and also have a great diversity in this 50%. We have Polish people, we have Ukrainian people living in Poland, who've been living in Poland before the war, and we have also Ukrainian people who are refugees. We have students, we have retired people, we have all kind of age, women and men. So it's a lot of diversity of everything. and to make a team work together, it's not easy, because with all this, of course, complex situation, and to well, it's important to give I don't know, I would say values. What I like in the NGO I'm working with, they have values, important values that we have to share, and I like to remember them, because they are quite, they are universal, like, respect, dignity, joy, or, accountability, or honesty, or this kind of things. And you have to remember it makes me remind that we are all human at each instant, and we have to remind this no matter where we come from and what we are going through. And well, it's not always an easy job. It's also a lot about, I would say, this experience to me. What I realized, because, so as you understand, I'm not a humanitarian for forever, so it's something I'm discovering, even if I feel very comfortable, let's say, in this environment, because of my interest and my previous experiences. I discovered the 4 humanitarian principles that are shared universally are almost the same as the one for mediation, at least that I learned in my school, it's independence, impartiality, neutrality, and the 4th one is humanity. Maybe this one is not said in the context of mediation I was taught, but could be added very easily. So I think it's, it was a very great, let's say, surprise, because I never had the opportunity to think about this this word as a profession as well, and stuff. And I am completely, I'm completely happy that it matches, let's say, what I was looking for. So it's a great thing. What can I say else on this? So many things to say, so I don't know.
Before you go further, what I'm going to say is that, first of all, important thing is the mediator mindset, which is what you have. Everything else falls into place. That's not an issue at all. The other thing about what you said about independence, neutrality, I'm saying those things don't matter.
Yeah.
The humanitarian aspect of it, the human touch, those are the humanistic approach. That is all there is. You don't have to be neutral. And now the whole discussion, and the discussion is that actually, should you be neutral? And the whole, whether impartiality now is going into omnipartiality, multi-partiality, all those things. But the human touch, the humanistic approach, that will stay. That will stay, whatever other theories come out. So I think we have to be very sure that if what comes from the heart, and connecting to people from the heart, and that good intention that you have gone with, and meeting with them on that is what connects you with them. I think that's that's the most important part for me.
Yeah, it's very true. It's a lot about this. And you know what, this heart thing also led me to a big question I never asked myself in such a strong ways. What is trust? Because, you know, in this in a crisis mode, you have to take decision very quickly, or even build the team. You know, I needed to build a team of 40 people very quickly. So you don't have to make a regular recruitment process as you would do in a private company that takes 3 months and blah, blah, blah. You know, here it's 20 minutes and you say yes or no, right? So and so that's it. You discuss, you ask some question, and you know, and how does it work? Just by the guts and the heart. This is really the only thing that works. And I'm sure I experienced it because unfortunately I have to separate myself from some people I hired, and I realized that it was always the person for which the gut feeling was not totally at the right place. And this is completely mesmerizing me, to be honest, because I've never experienced this in such a strong in such a strong way than before, really. So trust in this kind of situation is, I think, all life. The relationship we have with people are based on trust, and if there is no trust, you cannot build anything in harmony or like this. But and for the team, it's even more important. If you don't have this harmony, or try at least to have this harmony and this trust between people, it's different to navigate in a crisis mode where everything is uncertain, and where you have to make sure that you will not be let's say how to say that no bad behavior is going to contaminate your team, right? Because it's too easy, it's too mixed all the time everywhere. So you have to be very, very much careful and attentive at how things are going on. So this trust thing is something crucial in this 6 months I'm being here, how to make sure I'm listening to this, I don't know what, inner voice, gut feeling, heart, whatever it's called. I still don't know what is the best description, but to make sure I'm on the right path. So,
I'm glad. Yeah, and this is. Yeah. No, you were saying something. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. It's just also, and it makes me think, you know, of following a path. When you're in mediation, also you're trying to, sometimes you choose a topic, you select a word better than another word. You don't know why. You could have chosen, you don't know. It's just some intuition, right? So just yeah, this experience is helping me develop this thing, like follow this, what's the things that seem right to you. So exactly. It's very interesting.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that now you have to deal with so many new people and have to work with them. One is you just have to meet people and walk off. Here you have to work with them. So this, we are going to actually get into this. What is that gut feeling? What is it? What is it all about? Because that's really important. And I keep talking about that whole art, soul, spirituality, that whole symposium I have on that. There is a connection there. We don't know. Look, these are words. What is that energy that a person brings in? You connect to something there. So, but I think that for me, according to me, maybe it's not discussed so much, but I think that is where the core of the whole activity lies. How can you actually get and connect to that part of someone, and also be able to see energy coming in, feeling it, and like you said, you call it gut, but it's not just gut. There are a lot of things happening there. I mean, we don't know what that calculation is. The brain gave you some calculation, and
exactly.
Gut was the output. But how did that work? What happened? We have to, I don't know whether we need to work on it, or is it that these things come naturally to someone, they can actually feel this. And that is where this whole mediator mindset also is connected to this, because I feel that some people can actually feel that about people, and they can actually understand what's happening here, what the person is all about. And I think that gauge of people, a lot of people lose that over time, I think, because of maybe a lot of factors. Could be biases and prejudices that people have. And I think people with the mediator mindset don't have that. That's the way feeling I have. So they're not looking at all those outer things. They are going a little more inner. I don't know what your thoughts on that are. I'm just putting across my feeling.
Well, I kind of share, I think, this idea. This is this not non-rational thing. I was trying to explain a bit that I love to learn somehow when I studied a bit mediation, which was totally different from my rational studies I had initially. Right? There is something unpredictable. So the unpredictable, I don't know how you explain the unpredictables and unplanned. Indeed, it linked somehow to spirituality to me as well, because how to explain the not explained? I am just a simple human being here. So it's just an experience. In fact, this is not something you cannot. It's not something you cannot. You can explain, you can share, because I think, and this is what makes it unique for each of us, and what makes each of us a unique mediator, is that we experience it in a different way, because we all have our different sensibilities, sensitivity. Sorry, and this is the main thing. I think it's about becoming a better observer of what's going on inside you and outside you, and together it's even better. Yeah, I think so. Yes, it's really my feeling. And well, and the crisis situation, of course, exaggerates everything. Everything is exaggerating. The speed of information, the speed of meetings, the speed of trust, or the speed of distrust. Everything is done thousand times quicker than usually. So at least here you get a training, really a training of listening what if you want to, because if you don't, in fact, I don't know what's happening then. I don't know. I can't imagine, but here I feel this is the only thing that helps me keeping the balance in this whole mess, in fact. So you connect to this internal axis, right? That my values, the things that I like, the things that are important to me, the things that roots me somewhere on this planet, even if I'm not at home. Home. And another question: where is home? Because I am home and not home. Because it's the country of my parents and stuff. Yeah, I think we have to be aware in this kind of crisis situation, but also when we're listening to the crisis of other persons, where is our home and where is our center, not to be. And I agree about this rule, what you say about independence, neutrality. I think we need to speak somehow the things we're doing, to be able to share it somehow, because we are human, and our tool to exchange is our words and language. Although independence, neutrality are direction, I would say, because of course neutrality, 100% neutrality is impossible, 100% impartiality is impossible, but it's some direction to remind us that we are the middle of something that is not ours. So how to be, this is my feeling.
Well, because I'm telling you how I look at it is that a person with the mediator mindset, even if supposing it was your own particular matter or something that you were personally connected with, even in that situation, if you can look at the whole thing in an objective manner and not looking at yourself, that is what that whole level of that mediator mindset is. So in this situation where there are two other people, it won't matter to you. Independence will not matter. It could be your own, say, if the people in your family, how does it matter? If you're taking yourself away from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think those are things which, look, on theory, all of that, let that theory go on. We know on the personal connection aspect of it, it will not make a difference to you. That whole thing, the whole aspect of maybe the whole impartiality aspect is just something that comes from within. You're not looking at it from one person to the other person. And I think I don't even know whether these things can be put on paper. Can you have words for it? It just comes from within. So I think that's what needs to be put out, that there is, and look, it's not that everyone has that. So that's why I'm saying you are special because you have that, and that is what is required. Everything else, all these qualifications and certifications and all, cannot make anything, can't bring that aspect that you have. So I think that needs to be put out there, that
Mm-hmm.
it's not something that can be put into someone. It's not one of those, it's not a software programming that I will come, you come to me and I will do this to you. It's a lot of factors which go into
A
it.
lot. Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's not about having rules. It's a behavior. It's true. So I agree. And what you observe here also is again in this crisis is it's interesting, this various interests and what is leading the people. So exactly, it's interesting what you're saying, people, because people have this mediator mindset or interest in the situation, and some other has other interests, and it's also very interesting, and also to find the way how to collaborate to keep and or can we collaborate also with everyone? This is also a question then that I'm asking myself, of course, in this kind of situation, which is not the case. I think I don't know, I'm not yet clear on this, but it's not always easy to find a balanced way of discussion and of exchange with everyone, right? Because interests are not matching at all. So
look, like I said, I mean, the energy that some people bring in, you do not want to interact with that energy. Some people bring in such negative energy. Look, the work that I do, in that I find some people have that negative energy. I keep them away, because if you are doing something and you want to move in a positive direction, you don't want to be sucked into someone's negative energy. So, so that part of it, I'm quite clear. People, look, at the other end, we have spiritual gurus. So let those spiritual gurus take everyone and convert negative energy into positive energy. Let them do that. I am not at that stage to do that. Look, finally, you want to do good things. And if you want to do good things, you need positive energy. And some people bring that. And interestingly, I found even on Zoom, you can actually feel that. What people bring in, there's something in that space, which is why I protect my space. My Zoom space is to be protected.
Your studio.
Exactly. Yes. It's like a sacred space for me. So in that time that you spend with someone, you need positive energy around you. Why would you not want that? I mean,
of course, you need to take care of your space around, of course. But then sometimes also I experience, because when you're tired, when there is too much, you get invaded a bit by this bad energy, and then how do you do to come back to your right place, right? Well, in this kind of course, we all experience this kind of things in our lives, but well, in crisis mode, it's a bit different, I would say, or it's a bit more intense, right? Because there is no pause, because it's every day, all the time, and it's like, and then you keep on thinking, and the real exercise is to start taking care of yourself, and being honest with what you're seeing, because a point very important to me in this experience, and this again, because I haven't asked myself the question that strongly before it, what is helping people, right? Because well, we say often you cannot help someone who's not asking for it, right? If you're not asking, you cannot be helped, right? Well, of course, there are different kind of help, because when you see people arriving devastated, or with one that arrived with the luggage they had to do in 10 minutes to fight for their lives, it's you don't have to ask them so much. But then it's been 6 months, and the faces and the type of people arriving in our centers and places are changing as well, because then people get used to this terrible situation and learn of the new mechanism of this new situation, right? And of course, some take advantage of this mechanism of this new situation, and so you have to to feel it as well, to be able to know who really needs the help. And as I told you at the beginning, a lot of independent volunteers arrived on this crisis, either from Poland or from abroad. And, helping at any price. I need to help, I need to help, I need to help, no matter what. And I thought at one moment, but enough, it's not healthy. I mean, at some point you're forgetting yourself. Well, of course, a burnout in 1 month for the one who never stops, who never sleeps, who never eat because they need to help. So at what cost do you need, of course, to provide help? Then what are the reasons you're providing help? And I think so at some point, this is a question that any person in this kind of situation needs to ask himself or herself, because we all have an interest in providing help, of course, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But we need to know what is this reason, because if we don't know, it can start to be really, really unhealthy, right? I can see it very clearly that when, if you're getting over some barriers, it starts to be unhealthy for you and even for the persons, because you're not even listening anymore whether they need your help or what they really need. It's so terrible, for instance, to look at someone in such a bad situation that to give him food, but maybe he's not hungry, so just stop it, right? Or, he just needs his own space, so leave him alone, like, hello, look, you need to take care of that person, so just listen in the great manner, right? Find a great, in a large way. So listen, look, smell, everything you can, sense. Just sense what's happening and listen what could be the most appropriate. Don't act just because you want to, right? And this I observed a lot, and it's very difficult also to realize, because how can you say someone delicately, hey, watch out the way you're helping? It might be not the most appropriate. So do you know why you're insisting on this or this? And well, it's an interesting path I think we all have to do when we are working in helping people as mediators, doctors, anybody find this kind of situations. It's difficult. So I really, for instance, it's something because, in this Ukrainian war, a lot of half of the country, let's say, in Ukraine is living normally, right? Because it's not affected by the war, by the missiles and stuff. The only thing, from what I'm told, that remains war are the sirens, of course. So they can go to work and do their normal life, let's say. but still having this conscience that something is happening. And the most important topic here to me, if of course all the NGOs provide all kind of different helps, transport, food, shelters, protection of people, information to make sure that they can stay safe on their whole journeys and stuff like this. But the most important one to me, and that will last for a longer time, is mental health, of course. And it's very well, I'm not, again, I repeat, I'm not an expert in the crisis, the first war I'm attending. It's terrible to speak in such ways, but it's also particularly difficult because it's not a culture, Slavian culture, Ukrainian or Polish people are not used to going to the psychologist and to talk about this. It's really right away, I'm on the crazy side. And when you keep on repeating, we are in war, so it's normal to have issues. Here, it's normal that nothing's normal, so this is a norm. So you just it's if you something is a burden for you, you just immediately should talk about it. And the most difficult thing here is to find ways to bring that support that people refuse a lot, although it's clearly needed. I can observe in the refugee we see are passing, so it's difficult to create a link because they stay a few times. But for instance, in my team, as I told you, I have all kind of personality, Polish people, refugee or not refugee, or Ukrainian not refugee, but watching their families inside and stuff. So, and I really can clearly see the changes of mindset, of needs, of questioning, a mother leaving their husbands with their kids, so have no marital life for 6 months, and I have no clue whether they're going to come back. Yes, I could come back to the western part of the country, but my kid will not go to school because only 30% of the school are open, because you have to have a basement to have an open school. So what shall I do? I will not come back to have my kid buried in an apartment. No, it's just too boring for them. What a life for kids. So what shall I do? And all this questioning that people have all the time, wow, should be, of course, should be assisted. Also people are very strong. I'm impressed also. The very first day of the war, the face people had, they will come back to their home, was striking me. Seriously, I was amazed. Like, of course I'm going to come back home. Okay, they show you the pictures, of the home just next to them that looks like a skeleton, with windows completely burst out, from everywhere. But of course I'm going to come home. And face of people is incredible. I'm happy if I'm happy to see that, because I think without this thing, wow, I don't know how they proceed further their journey. It's
because I don't know how it is, because it's like you're numb. I think you're numb at that point of time because you don't know what's happening. So I think that aspect of you living in that space, and you'll be living in that space again, that will still continue, because what has happened has not, I don't think, has struck you at that point of time. I don't know how you've been dealing with them, but has it really struck them that yes, this is what's happened to us? Has that happened?
Well, I think some of them don't realize. At the very beginning, it was this one. I remember that lady very well. It was still March, and she was like, "Yeah, I just came here for a bit because my kid is stressed because of the sirens. So I'm taking him to some friends for some time, and then we will go back home." Wow. And of course, madam, you'll do whatever you want, but but such a conviction, and but it's great because it's one reaction. This is also a great learning to me of experience learning, I would say, because you read stuff, but when you see them, it's different. And that people really react differently to crisis situations. So either you meet these ones that have a strong faith in the moment and in the future, in what's going to happen, and you have the one that just cannot talk anymore, and that cannot speak to anyone, the one that become violent, the one that you've got all kind of reaction, and it's very moving from all whatever the reaction is. It's all are striking, in fact. Of course, some are more impressive than others, but even this faith, which seems unbreakable, it's inspiring. To me, it was inspiring. Like, wow, oh yeah, I should do exactly the same way as this person during this whole time, because wow, now she left her home. She has one luggage for her kid, blah blah. She doesn't know this is the language of the country where she's now, or neither to the one she's going into, and she has to invent something, and for herself and for her kid. It's incredible. So it gives a lot of creativity. This kind of situation yeah, of course, is a situation of terrors, of terrible things, but also an opportunity for a lot of creativity people wouldn't have even never imagined for themselves. So I'm just hoping and praying for all these people to find their own solution in this whole mess, to pursue their journey in whatever sense you can take it, yeah, physically or.
But what about the children? How are the children reacting?
Same. It's less spoken because it's children, but as you get all kind of reaction, of course. You've got people stressed and traumatized, of course. I even attended a psychologist who was an expert in art therapy, and who could say how people feel based on the drawing. He would give them, watercolors and do some drawings. And it's true, when you observe, it's fascinating, how some kids still can make the drawings, full of life, full of colors, and the ones that will draw something only brown and dark, it's wow. So, and it's important to detect, because a kid will not not always, depends on the kids, but it's more difficult for them, of course. And I'm not a psychologist, but from what I talked with some others, and of course the impact is very different depending on the age of the kids, because for example, for teenager, it's even more of a something, because they lose their friends, they lose their school, they lose their all their social environment that they're building to get their identity at this kind of age. So it's difficult times, because for instance, some of the refugees settling in Poland send their kids to school in Poland, of course, and so in Polish, so with a new language. Some wouldn't go because they don't feel like going to a Polish school, for instance, or they miss their dad, or they miss their grandma or something. And, so of course it impacts kids as well, and also in very different manners. So as I'm telling you, mental health is really the key help to provide, but also the most difficult to provide, because very delicate to address.
Yeah, because in any case, I think the fact is that to provide that help, I mean, this is a totally new thing that people are seeing. I mean, I'm sure even psychologists and everything have worked with other people in other situations, but this is totally new because this hasn't happened. I mean, like, this kind of a situation, to see people in a war and actually being affected by it. So for them to handle it also, I don't know how they are going to be doing it. It's, again, I think it's a work in progress. They will learn from that. But with these children now, when they move into schools, I think there is a role of mediators there to integrate them into
Absolutely.
those schools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm curious, what school has just started, September 1st here. So, as my team, we're not in place for such kind of project, but I am happy to investigate a bit that topic, because of course I also suggested the psychologists found the thought ones by themselves as well, but that of course accompany the kids at school is a huge topic, of course, because it's a new thing. What is the place? You take the place off. You speak. Why do we need to make an effort? Because it's another language, because it's another country, and from both sides, and both sides, absolutely both sides. And it's also an information war now, of course. So who are the bad? Who are the nice persons? And in the kids' minds, everything is very fast, and also can be manipulated easily if it's not taken care of. So it's very important as well, of course. It's a mediation area, kids.
Yeah, because I just feel that, because look, these are very young. I mean, these are children. I mean, some of them are, they be at all ages. for those
mm,
young children to be affected by, say, a new school they've gone into, and those children don't understand a lot of things about them, and it's language is a problem. And
mm,
look, and children can be insensitive, and they can be
mm,
insensitive, and how will they deal with
mm.
these people? So I think it has to be in a very early intervention, and
Yeah.
not wait for it to escalate. I think that,
Mm,
because they're at an age where one little thing, one incident can affect their mind right there. So
absolutely.
I,
Um, Absolutely. And it's funny because I think it's very a matter of age because for the little kids, from what I see, for them, it's easy to learn language. They don't even realize, oh, I speak Polish. Oh, it's Ukrainian now. Oh, it's a mix. Oh, for little kids, it's really funny. It's easy. Or even you speak a language, answer another, there is no problem. It's fantastic. It's amazing to to look at this. But for older ones, it's not that they cannot, I don't think it's a problem that they cannot learn as quick the language, but they also already have other structure in their minds because they're older. So it's so interesting to observe. And another mediation area and this topic that I think will arrive and is arriving very soon is about employment, right? How to welcome Ukrainians, for more Ukrainians, because Ukrainians have already been working in Poland for a long time. It's not new of this year, of course, but now they're going to be a bit more and another kind of information also arriving. So how to welcome people, welcome hire people who have competences on the workplace. I think it's also a topic. I've been asked to attend by a former colleague, HR colleague, to a discussion for a family company, a Polish company, about hiring Ukrainians. What are the discuss on this topic, and you can feel some fears. Okay, it was just to me a 30 minutes intervention, so couldn't dig more, but it would be very interesting to understand what are the fears behind this. Why what are you afraid of, losing your job, or someone is doing better than you or not, or what is the fear behind this? And I think it's something also very interesting to develop in the companies who are not used to it, because obviously not everybody is going to be hired in the multinational companies who are used to work with international people from everywhere, but a lot of local companies, and because not everybody is also stopping in big cities. So it's interesting, and
yeah.
it's also interesting to observe how it's going to develop in the future.
So that's why I think that the role of mediators, people should understand they have a much larger role to play in society. And these kind of situations, definitely there is a lot in terms of just the fact of that dialogue, to facilitate that dialogue where, I mean, the cultural aspect, there is one thing, language is another thing, and
Mm,
to be able to in some way understand where this person is coming from in terms of the mind of the mind, and connecting to that part to be able to understand that. So
mm,
it takes, like I keep saying, a special person to take all that into account, and then to understand the other side also. So I think there is a much larger role to play, and with the people with the mediator mindset have to be brought out, and
mm.
they should not be doing mechanical engineering only. They're required on this side.
Yeah, both things. Yeah, I totally agree. The mediator mindset in this world, but in this situation, of course, but even in the everyday life everywhere. And now I'm convinced is necessary everywhere.
Yeah.
I think everybody should get to dig into to dig in a bit into this topic for its own benefit.
Yeah, and I'm saying those people who are there, let's bring them out. You came out, you found out, and you were into this area, but a lot of people are there out there, don't even, I mean, that they have the ability. People also know about it, but it's just that it is not considered something that a person can do as an occupation, or I mean,
Mm,
I'm not using the word profession because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's a debatable word by itself. But just the fact that this can be something that you can do as a total activity for life. Because
Yeah.
there is so much to do there. But
Yeah.
but Alexander, I think the important thing is we need a little device where you can hang it here, and I speak in English, it comes out in Polish or in French or Ukraine. I think that's what this world needs today, because I'll
Yeah.
tell you, just the fact of just communicating with someone, that's becoming difficult. And now you see that
Mhm.
suddenly you have people coming out who don't know the language, have to interact on a
Yeah.
daily basis with
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah.
we've got all this high tech technology, and then we've got going to Mars and Moon and everything, but this little
Yeah.
device to communicate with each other, I'm sure
Yeah.
they're available. They're available. Look, Google Translate has done a very good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's starting, but well, okay, let's forget crisis mode, but because hopefully we're not, it's not a mode that is happening all the time. But learning a language is it's a good mediation process. Even I like technology, but having this little device, as you think, it would be a pity because it would prevent us from this all learning process that help us, well, to me at least, understand a bit the culture, because each language has its own way of thinking, and this is what helps you to get into mediation, right? Because even uh, I liked when I was taught a bit mediation, when I realized that we need mediation, because even if we speak the same language, each of us speak its own language, right? Because we use the word in our own manner. And when I first heard this, I said, exactly. And I loved it. This is really the most important thing, I picked from mediation, because all of us, we speak our own language, even if we both speak English or French or whatever, because, and this is, when you understand this, I think this is where mediation starts from, right? That we use words in different ways, no matter the language. So even the Google device will never help us with, when I love the example, so stupid, but about bread, please, could you get out and bring me some bread? I'm French, I will bring you a baguette, and you will bring me a parota or an naan, and this is where start the conflict, because this is not what we were expecting for bread. And I love this idea, to understand this, that it all where it comes from.
You are,
So
Alexander, you are lucky. You know all these languages. So you're saying that, what about people like me who don't know them? And I interact with people from so many parts, all parts of the world, and so many languages. I'm not going to be
yeah.
able to pick up all of them at this point. I don't know. I don't think so. So for me, Google Translate is the only option.
Okay, okay.
No, no, but
Okay.
what when I put something in Google Translate, I do a reverse translation to see whether
Yeah.
it's come out all right. If it hasn't
Mm,
come out again, I'll do a reverse, correct it, and
mm,
then it is a back and forth thing for a few times, because
mm.
to get it correct, definitely, is it really putting out the meaning that I want to put out? But
Yeah,
definitely, I mean, language
yeah,
is one of those things where to be able to understand where, I mean, of course, thought process of people, maybe that's something which, to bring that out, how that comes out, that's a one thing. But
yeah.
to be able to put out those words that the other person understands at that same word, I think definitely those
Mm,
are things about language, that complex aspect of language, which you have been able
yeah.
to get over, and you're so you're rubbing it in that, yes, I know the technical part of it, and I know the deeper part of it, and
Oh,
you will never get it because you use Google Translate.
no, this is not what I said. I'm just, but no, but well, this is something I like. It's true. So this is what I like in learning languages. So this is maybe why.
But how come you picked up how come you picked up so many languages? How did you do that? Why did you do that?
Cool. But well, I guess as I told you, I was born with this gift. From this gift, let's say that my parents gave me, that I can learn Polish and French at the same time, right? Because okay, and truly I don't know why, but I always liked it. So I had school. I was learning 3 languages already. Because there is something to me which is connected to the music. Each language has its own music, this own rhythm, and there are languages you like that are more nice to your ear than other ones, and sometimes you just I would like to learn this because it sounds nice to my ear. So this is, yeah, for instance, Russian, although I'm Polish, I learned Russian. My grandma used to tell me it was a bit strange, at the time I was learning Russian because of what she went through in history. But I always been loving, for instance, Russian music and composer, and it's a very melodic language, and this is why I was interested in learning it. So it's to me it's a musical interest, I would say. So there are so many other I would like to.
But this is about like you can understand when it is spoken, but you can read it also. I mean, both.
Yeah. Russian, can do both.
You can read Russian, and you can.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then there's stuff that are close. I can't speak Ukrainian, but I understand, I don't know, 70% of it, because it's a cocktail between Polish and Russian. It's all three of the language are Slavic languages, so they have a lot of common words. Okay, different alphabets, but common words, common grammar somewhere, so it's easier to pick up then. And then plus the body language or the heart connection, which is helping to talk with someone, then you kind of understand what's happening more or less on the other side, right? So it helps a lot. And this is also what helps me to learn a language. It's not only the grammar or the vocabulary, but if you interact with someone, it helps you. I think it's for everyone, but it helps you very much to integrate new words or new expressions. Because
and then where did the Italian come from? How come the Italian came in from where?
The Italian came from my work colleague. I was sharing an office with an Italian guy for 3 years who became a good friend of mine. And at some point I said, "Oh, I also want to speak Italian." No way. So I was motivated that time, and I bought myself a book. Well, Italian is a language close to French also, so it's easier to learn for a French person. And I was doing every day, and I could put in practice right away, because there was this colleague and there were a couple more at work. So I was always like, "Let's go for lunch. We speak Italian only." And they were so happy to speak their own language, and they were like, "Oh, if you want to learn Alexandra Italian, you should listen to that music, see that movie, see that, And I was doing this by the way, so it was entering my ears.
I think the important thing about learning a language is that you can actually speak that language with someone. I think that's
totally agree.
It's not about just going there and reading that word and that's it. So that
practice.
Advantage you have. So with Russian, you were talking to your grandmother in Russian?
No. She was. My grandmother was Polish, but I learned in high school, and then I had a semester in Moscow when I was a student. I wanted absolutely to go to Russia at some point, so I studied 6 months in Moscow, and there I practiced a bit, and then I had an experience at work for 3 years. I was responsible in an engineering consulting company. I was responsible for the former CIS countries, so from Ukraine to Central Asia, and Kyrgyzstan and stuff. And this was an occasion for me to let's say to take off the dust of my Russian in my head and use it again, because it still is the common language in most of these countries. So it was really a great pleasure I had during that job to be able to use Russian a bit more.
Okay, so Alexandra, that means you have to become the official translator for Russian, French, Italian, for all the shows that I do. We will call you in for when we have.
Well,
there was someone from Ecuador. He was so nice. He actually teaches English, and he said, "Look, I mean, if there is a requirement, if someone can't speak it, please, you can call me. I'll come in." I said, you're the official translator for Spanish.
Great.
Okay, so now I have Italian, French, Russian, Spanish. That's quite a bit.
Cool. Russian, I have to, and for languages, you develop the vocabulary depending on what you used it for, right? So I haven't used a lot of Russian for all this soft skills, I would say it like this, even now in Polish I'm fluent because it's my mother tongue, but I've never spoke about, I don't know, for instance, psychology or stuff like this before, because I didn't have the opportunity. So I'm developing a bit more my vocabulary in this, and I think in Russian I have to do a bit more as well, but happy to do so for that purpose.
But there's actually someone from in Kazakhstan. She speaks very good Russian and English.
Yeah.
So that
is it Fidana?
It's not Fidana. Fidana is too busy. She doesn't have any time at all. So that's but there's Ruzana in Kazakhstan.
Great. I don't know her, but yes, yeah.
But Fidana is in Kyrgyzstan.
Yes,
in Kyrgyzstan. She's in Kyrgyzstan.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a country I discovered. I met her online. I never met her physically, but I met her after I used to work in Kyrgyzstan, and it's a country. It's a country. I love her. I love her country very much. I love her country very much.
But because I don't know, there's a symposium that happened last month on indigenous peoples and mediation. So there's someone from Morocco, and she said she, of course, according to me, speaks all right English, but suddenly I think 1.5 hours, 2 hours before the session says, "Oh, I'm going to speak in French. Is there someone who can help?" So then I called up some people, and this one person in India, he said, I'll help as much as I can. So he started it off. I called him, and suddenly Amina, she's the one from Morocco, and then she was speaking in English, and she was perfectly all right.
She was stressed.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what that stress did to her. And after that, she was perfectly all right. I mean, she's coming in this other symposium that's starting on 15th.
Next week.
So she's also part of that. I mean, so that's, I think, language. I tell everyone, look, don't worry about the language. If you want, just speak in your language. It doesn't matter. The point, because one thing is for sure, that when you are actually putting your thoughts out, if you're familiar with your language, the way it comes out definitely is different. And otherwise, if you're translating in your head, I don't know, you know those languages, so you would know. I mean, translating in your head and then putting it out in another language, I'm sure there is a loss of thought.
For sure, it depends how comfortable you feel with the other language, but for sure, it's a loss because each language thinks differently anyway. So translation is always a loss anyway.
So basically, Alexandra is at a different level. She can work all this out. For her, it all comes naturally. No. English, French, Polish, Russian, all Italian just fitting in. But does your thought process change? Does your thought process change when you're speaking in Italian to your, say, a friend of yours? Is there a difference? Is there a different person? Is there a different person?
I think a bit. The two closest language to me are French and Polish, I think. It's difficult, but I think there is I remember a friend of mine saying to me, I practice Aikido, and once I remember we went to a workshop in Italy, and my sensei asked me to translate in Italian, and one of my French colleagues saw that, and he said me afterwards, "But you know what, Alexandra, when you speak in Italian, you seem another person, totally another person."
What I was just going to say. Yeah.
So maybe there is something like this,
Oh, that's really interesting, actually.
So,
that person, that Italian sitting inside you came out there.
Exactly. So now with English it's more difficult, because which English is going out from you? Is it the American, the British, the Indian one? Everybody speaks English, tries to. So it's more different.
This is a really interesting thought. I think we have to work on this, because actually, when say if someone knows Spanish but doesn't know so much, I mean, can speak in English but not so comfortable, when you hear them speaking in Spanish, it's like you're listening to a totally different person. And when they start speaking in English,
I am sure,
because they're actually maybe thinking about too much, and not that person doesn't come out. I don't know what. It's very interesting. So we have.
But you know, the sounds are different. I told you about the music to me for a language, and speaking is physical. It's a physical effort, right? So, and all the sounds are different. All this accent, we always make fun. We can make fun of stuff when you hear French from different region of France, or even from the word, because it sounds so different, but because the words are used differently with your body, right? So I think it's very physical effort, right? So.
Physical one is, of course, gestures and everything. They say that I think about 100 muscles are used to take out sound. So that is physical in that sense also.
Absolutely, no, but I totally agree. I have a friend of mine who's a professional interpreter between French and Polish, but really, really, he speaks better French than me, for sure. Although he's Polish, so and he's saying me all the time, when I finish a translation, interpretation, I'm physically tired because it's a physical, movement to speak a language and to change the language. And I'm convinced of this, totally. Yeah. Even if not at the same level as him, but I am sure. Yeah.
I mean, that whole brain, the way it's used to do that, I mean, it's quite tiring. I'm sure it's very tiring. Yeah. But Alexandra, now you have to tell us about the nice things about France. And maybe the not so nice things also, but what about? So what are the nice things about France? Basically, but you're in Paris. That's what you based in, and
this is where I come from. Yes, this is where I'm based when I'm not in Poland.
Yeah. But so, what are the nice things about Paris and France?
Oh my goodness. A lot of things, but Paris and France is a beautiful city, is a beautiful country, place of arts and museums. This is, for instance, something I miss a lot while being here, of culture, a place of culture. It's also a place of diversity, as a capital, of course, which is not always lived in the most peaceful way, but it's a difficult topic. But anyway, you can meet people from all over the world, with all kind of cultures. I live in near the Indian area, for people from Sri Lanka, rather. But and a lot of different ethnicities are present in my area in Paris. So people from Africa, from Sudan, from Ethiopia, from Maghreb, from everywhere. So I like this mix somehow, and I like all the cultures. This is what I'm saying now, because this is maybe what I miss most while being here at the moment. I really enjoy all the art, or even the buildings, all the architecture of Paris is great. Have you been in France?
Yeah, I've been to Paris.
Yeah, so you've been in Paris, so walking in the streets is one of my favorite activities if I have nothing to do.
The thing with me is that I like to get into the place. For me, art, I mean, it's not something that, like, I didn't go into the Louvre. I told my daughter, you go in, whatever you see. We are outside. I told my wife also, she goes in. I just don't enjoy doing that. I just want to be out there on the street, watching people, observing them. That's what I find interesting. So, of course, that was, I mean, it was nice walking around in Paris. And if the people would ask me, and if they laugh at me that you didn't go to the Louvre, you went to Paris, I said, no, it didn't even interest me at all.
Yeah, but there is the Louvre, of course, but you've got small things. You don't need to go to a museum. You just can go to a gallery, or you can just look at street art as well, while wandering. Art is everywhere. Or
Alexandra, you don't realize, the thing is that boat of yours, you take that ticket, the whole day ticket. Sitting in that, I don't know how many rides I did up and down that river.
Really, in one day?
2 days. We took it for 2 days. There was that whole, I mean, you could take it unlimited trips on that boat. I just sat there, just looking at those buildings. It just, from the river, it looks so nice just to go through that. So I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Me too. But me too. I love walking around. I think, one of my favorites. Well, I have many, but along the river, I love it. I love it. You have so many great things around the river to see, and I love also sitting at the cafe and looking at the people, as you say, or a lot of dancing now. You know, a lot of people during summertime, and now it's going to be the end, but are dancing everywhere, all kind of different dance.
Right on the
and it's
riverside.
really,
Yeah, I saw them on the riverside also. They were there. They had that.
absolutely. But not only, you know, sometimes in front of the Eiffel Tower. So it's a good thing to do. If you like to dance, go dance at night in front of the Eiffel Tower when it starts twinkling. You know, it's such a great way. This is where it reminds you that it's not only work and the concrete and, you know, and the business and stuff. It's like, wow, it's true. Some people are saying it's a romantic city. Sometimes, you know, you forget about it when when you live into it.
Yeah. So now you appreciate it more when you're outside. No, I'm just look. I'm from the river part of it. I'm saying now look at the Notre Dame. Now you're on the boat. You're going towards it. Then you move away from it, and you come back towards it. The Notre Dame looks so much different. If you go there, stand next to it, it's okay. It's there. It looks nice. But this view of it that you get up and down the river, I really I like the I think the whole thing Paris was I think made to be going up and down the river. It's all those buildings have been created in that way. So so that's what I liked about it. I mean,
great. I'm happy. I'm happy you liked it.
but
And
what about other parts of France?
Oh, but so many parts of France are great. I don't know, Brittany, south of France, mountains, Alps or Pyrenees. I like, well, I'm not an expert, but I like, you know, hiking a bit in the mountains. And I love this region of the southwest of France with the Pyrenees, for instance, you know, south of Toulouse, you know, bordering Spain. I have good friends there, and it's a beautiful region. And I even started to love it even more when I realized, you know, that on the map it's on the same line as Kyrgyzstan. You know, I realized we looked with my friend, you know, that's why maybe it would be some similar landscapes. I don't know, but it's a really great region. Also, we know Tarbes, Tarbes and Pau, all this region full of these mountains are a bit lower than the Alps, so they're a bit greener as well and stuff, and it gives another atmosphere to the hiking. I like it very much. But what I like as well, Brittany in the west of France or Normandy, you know, all this part on the sea are very nice places, and I guess for the future they're going to be even super great places with this whole climate change that is happening. You know, we always making fun in France that in Brittany it's always raining and it's terrible weather, but it's not true. Of course, it rains, of course, but it's very much changing weather. So, you know, you can have rain and sun and everything in one day. So all the 4 seasons in one day. So it's very good. And it's a beautiful region because you can have rocky beaches or sand beaches or all kind of different landscapes, you know, so it's very beautiful, very peaceful. You can have large beaches or smaller ones. You need to get in by foot. Yeah, I like it very much, and I like it because this weather is changing all the time. So it changes the light all the time on the sea when you look at it. So you know, I understand why it's been an inspiring region for painters. You know, a lot of painters have been painting, you know, the skies above the seas there, and it's really easy to understand why, because the lights are beautiful. But what region are nice in France? All of the regions are nice in France. Seriously,
South of France. What about south of France?
The southeast, you mean? So southeast is a great place. Also, it's very beautiful, but it has one major default, that it's too crowded during summertime. So I rarely go there during summertime. You know,
you live in Paris. I'm sure that's crowded enough.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not the place you're looking for when you want to go in summertime. But when you can have the chance to go a bit out of season, it's also beautiful. Marseille port. Well, not everybody likes the city because it's a harbor, but I like this atmosphere of change. Of mix. This is, I guess, what I like in the cities. So in the city, it's very much happening, and they transformed a lot this city to make it always a bit more I don't know, welcoming, I would say. And it's close to very nice space of nature, for instance, called Calanque. These are small let's say rocks going into the sea that you can visit either by foot from up, or by kayak on the water with deep blue colors. For instance, it's beautiful regions. So France also is rich of many nice places. So.
But what about places like Avignon, Aix-en-Provence? How are they?
See, but you know everything already. So what am I supposed to tell? Yeah, also Aix-en-Provence, a beautiful city, known for its little sweets called calisson, among others. And also, you picked another city very inspiring for painters like Cézanne, who painted one of this nice mountain here, like Sainte-Victoire. Beautiful place of vineyards, but also of hiking. So, of course, anybody who has the opportunity to go there should definitely go and visit. Avignon, I've never had the opportunity, but it's also an old medieval city, but very famous in France for its theater festival every year. So that, I don't know how much triples or how many people are coming, how the city is becoming bigger during that festival. I have no idea, but it's a huge thing. There is a official festival and there is an off festival where other companies also can play out of the official program. And I would love to attend, but until now I never took the time to do that. But it's a famous institution in France as well.
But in Avignon, basically, is that large where the Pope used to stay? That whole
Yeah,
large
le Palais des Papes. Ouais.
Basically, is
Yeah.
that? Is there more to that city than that? Is there more?
But it's a small city, so
Very small.
but it's a small city. I don't want to say something wrong, so I don't know how many people are living there out of season, but it's a small city, and yeah, this Palais des Papes, found this how to say, this house of popes. Yeah, it's from times where we had connection with Spain and Italy, but unfortunately, I'm not the person good enough in history to tell you the best information. So I prefer stop here, because.
No, I know why I'm asking you is because we went there. We went to Aix-en-Provence and Avignon.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
just thinking
beautiful.
that, look, it's the same thing, not going inside that building, just sitting outside that building.
Yeah.
And it's up there and you have a nice view from there. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I've been trying to do. Look, I love the landscape in Tuscany. So I said, I'm looking for it somewhere. So we took very long bus journeys in France to see, is there a similar terrain, because being wine producing areas, is it similar? But didn't find that. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe we missed out on something. So that's why I'm asking you, is there some nice in terms of landscape? Is there some places which would compare with what Tuscany is like? Or
I would rather let's not look for something comparable, but of course there are sceneries of vineyards that are beautiful as well. But it's different because this Avignon and stuff is closer to the mountains, so it's less. It's not as flat. Tuscany, in my mind, is flatter. It's a flatter area. There are high hills, but not. It's not. Yeah. It's in my. So I don't know. France is France. Italy is
Yeah,
Italy.
yeah,
I don't know what to say.
okay.
You've got vineyards, of course.
Maybe I picked up the wrong. No, they're all different. They're all nice. They're all nice. They're
No,
both
no,
nice.
I think exactly. I mean, they're both nice but different. So
Exactly.
why
No,
would you?
I picked up the wrong. No, I said the wrong thing. No, if we are not looking for Tuscany in France. No, we're not looking for that. No.
I think, yeah, well, you will not find it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you, I saw things a little too flat. They were a little too flat. I did not see these hills kind of thing at all. So maybe we missed out on some part, which I'm thinking maybe there is a little more. I mean, you don't want totally flat. It was very flattish.
Really? So maybe it would have been better to go up north in Bourgogne, where it's hills. Yeah. I haven't visited all of the vineyards. It's something that I'm still missing to do, maybe more carefully. So maybe I should think about it next time I talk to you. Before I have to come back to France, but
yeah, we need pictures from those places to compare them, and so that
with to Tuscany.
Yeah. No, I tell you, look, it's not about comparing. It's just that for me, in a way, look, in life you can't see the whole world for sure. So I feel, I mean, I like that place. So I just said, let's look around. But now I've stopped looking around. For me now, that looking around part is done. So you see that, okay, you like that landscape there. Okay, Tuscany, we go there. Now, not searching for places. Now I've stopped that. Now the searching part of it's gone.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like now exploring. Maybe I'm becoming old, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. Or just enjoying what's here, all right? No matter where you are.
Yeah, but it's like say, I don't know, there must be some particular dish that you like. Is there some particular dish that you like?
You have in front of you someone who likes to eat, so it's a very difficult question. No, please.
Again, the wrong question.
No, please try.
Now you have to tell me. Yeah, now that we've gone to the food part of it, now you're a foodie also. Now we understand that. So, so what is the food part of it? Let's hear that.
No, well, I like to eat and to discover new things. So ask me what is my favorite dish. I have no idea, seriously. But I confess that unfortunately I have more sweet tooth than I would. But no, what would be? No, I like discovering things, either Polish, either Italian, either French or Indian, or Asian foods of any kinds of Japanese food. So I don't know, but more and more I like I prefer simple things, not to elaborate it, not too much. I don't know, sauces, not too much, complicated.
So
but
one example of something. Let's hear one. Let's say one particular dish.
Oh my god! I don't know. Curry is good, but you mean
it can't be general? It can't be general. You can't say general. It has to be one particular dish.
One particular. Well, I don't know. I like to prepare myself sometimes a salted tart with zucchini. Some tuna fish, some not peanuts, some almonds, or different kind of nuts, some different kind of spices, In fact, it's always an invention. So I barely, I like to do all myself the how to say that, the flour thing you put on the tart. I have no idea how you say that in English, the pasta thing, or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know the word. Well, it will be difficult to explain. I don't know. These things, I like to invent things that have no name. So I don't know. Well, it's a difficult question. Really. Really difficult question.
Okay, so we're not going to talk about food. We're not talking about places. Okay. That part of it is done. So if there is anything that you want to tell us about, otherwise we'll close this session, because now I put you into difficult spots on comparisons of places. Now food, both those areas not to be touched.
Have to be enjoyed together. This is my proposition. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, this is my proposition.
But but now, okay, we'll go back to the situation in Poland and Ukraine and that part of it. How are you seeing things? I mean, what is the general feeling that you're getting there from the people? What?
Oh, I think people start to realize that it's gonna last for a bit. And I think that's it. But nobody knows exactly what the bit is going to be because everybody is going with its own forecasts. But you know, forecasts are forecasts. Yeah, and like for my part, from my tiny parts at the moment. So because you know in Ukraine it's easy. Help is needed, to understand that help is needed everywhere there, either for medical help for war-wounded person, or for mental health, or stuff like this, or for shelters, or for food, because you know on the eastern part it's missing and stuff. The most difficult part in the bordering countries such as Poland is to plan. You know, there is this whole discussion about winterization. So winter is coming, and you know at the moment there was less refugees crossing the borders, but everybody's forecasting that there should be again another big influx for winter, when people will have will not be able to pay or to have heated houses and stuff like this, and that they will be crossing the borders. And so the whole question is to know when they're going to arrive, and how much of them are going to arrive. So it's a lot of how to be prepared and flexible enough to be able to, if it happens again, being able to help the huge influx, because now it's reduced. So this is what is expecting us in the next months. So it's winter and the effect of winter on people's behavior.
But people are worried throughout Europe in terms of whether they can afford the heating or not, because the gas prices have gone up huge.
Yeah, sure.
Everywhere,
But yeah, sure. But not everybody is on gas. You know, some are with wood, some are but for sure, some for sure don't want to leave their home. So would rather, I don't know what people will decide. Would they rather let them die of cold, not to leave their country, or not? Seriously, I have no idea. So it's something we're trying to, UN agency are trying to forecast and stuff like this. But we'll see what is happening. So everybody is expecting a lot of people.
But now, what is your plan now? Are you going to stay here for? I mean, how much time are you going to stay here? What?
My plan for myself, I just decided yesterday that I will extend my contract until the end of the year, and then we'll see, because it's true, it's also an exhausting job. So at some point you also need to imagine some breaks, and also have to figure out what is my plan for myself as well. So for the moment, I will give it another try for 3 months, because indeed I'm a bit curious of what is going to happen with this winter time, and we'll see.
But Alexandra, this has been a life-changing experience for sure.
For sure.
So I mean, at this point of time, what would you say that you really have picked up from it? What has really changed in terms of who you are? And when you go back, what are those things that you're taking back, which are the Alexandra that left from there, and the Alexandras that'll go back, if supposing you're going back to tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, I think I haven't yet realized all of it. I think this is also why a break is needed after such a thing. I think, but yeah, I learned I can help people. It sounds stupid, but voila, I can say it. So stupid, but and also I can help them thanks to different competences I learned during my whole life. So it's also about trying to recognize, acknowledge what you've been doing before, and it's not lost, it's just transformed and used in a different way. So it's very very important and not always very easy for me to do. So I think it strengthens a bit what I know, what I can do, what I can deliver in terms of, languages or management or project management or stuff like this. So it's, or organization, or getting info, of networking or this kind of things, because this kind of situation also a lot of about, meeting the right person at the good moment and stuff like this. So I think there is this part, and I told you a bit earlier about this, this internal something we have to work out. And I think this is the biggest training I'm having at the moment. So it's still in process. Well, I think it's a life process, but during this time, it's been, I think, the most important thing I've been developing and taking, understanding or listening to, or giving it a shape or an understanding somehow to myself. So I think this is this thing I'm building here, and that will help me to be a mediator somewhere else.
Be a mediator. You are a mediator. Not be.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
No, like they say, as for a mediator, you have to connect with yourself first. So I think you're connecting with yourself a little more.
Yeah. So I think this is very much this, and I don't know exactly what word to bring yet, because it hasn't all settled down yet.
Basically, you've discovered yourself. Of course, discovering yourself is also a lifetime thing, but you've discovered certain parts of yourself. I think these life-changing experiences, in a way, life-changing. Of course, they can be major life-changing experiences, but this, I think, is one of those ones that you look back on and you'll say, it changed the way you looked at people and looked at yourself and how you understood yourself. I think that's important.
Yeah, and it's opened also still a bit more understanding also about my culture. It's Poland is my country. Well, my parents my genetics are Polish, my documents are French. So also it's a whole discussion also about the culture, because I'm learning also a lot about my roots. So it's interesting. It's very much interesting.
So what have you picked up? What are the interesting things you picked up on the culture?
Well, for instance, history of Poland is such that Poland has disappeared from the map for 150 years, because it's been divided in three parts, taken by Russian, Austro-Hungarian and Prussians, and so this separation of the country made different culture in these regions of Poland, and my parents are from one of this region, and I used to work in Poland in the second region, and this region where the war close to this to Ukraine part is the one I didn't know. Okay, and I see a lot of different way of behaving, but it's difficult to compare as well, because I discover it in a war situation where it changes everybody's mind as well. So I can't take everything here as it is, of course, but it struck me a lot. For instance, at the beginning, but usually we don't do like this here. This kind of internal discussion. I don't recognize how people would do it normally. What is happening here? It gives me a broader understanding, maybe, of the country, and there is history, but it's always this look, micro and macro look you can have on situation, and it's very important to be able to do this up and down all the time. This is also what I'm trying, what I learned a lot here, experience a bit more even, because you can give general rules, of course, to give direction, but then you have to treat as much as possible individual cases, but and it's the whole difficulty of this kind of situation, for example. So
but your parents are happy that you're in Poland?
At the beginning, not really, of course, because everybody's like, what? Are you going next to a country in war? And now, my father is not here anymore, but my mom, she's still a bit worried, but she understands why it's interesting for me, why I like it, I think, a bit more now. So it helps her. But nobody is very happy when you have people close to dangerous areas.
But what does your mother say about your mediator mindset?
I don't know.
Please ask her. Please ask her. You have to ask her.
Yeah, I don't know. The mediation is always the most difficult with your closest ones. This is what I know as well.
Yeah, whether they recognize it or not, but that's the important part. They recognize that mindset or not. That's what we have to really bring up. So Alexandra, any final concluding statement, remarks, comments, please?
No, I think we shared a lot. I like this. Mediator mindset is great. So let's connect to it, and I'm really like your approach of connecting all of us together. It's really a great thing to do. So thank you very much for having me here and share with you this experience and exchange on this topic, which is really, I think, of essence in our crazy complicated world. So
No, I think you're doing wonderful work. I think that's really nice, and everyone doesn't end up doing these things. People talk about it, but actually to go there and on the ground helping people, and there's obviously lots to do. I mean, just the fact that integrating people, like we said, it's children, everyone in the workplace, everywhere. I think there'll be lots of work for people with the mediator mindset. I think the online thing will also be, I think a lot of it will have to also be done online, because there won't be enough people. I don't think there'll be enough people to do it. There'll be so much that has to happen.
And it started, I think, already a bit, by phone or assistance. Yeah, sure.
So lots will be required. Maybe people will be able to take out some time to do it, and they'll have other things to do. But I think but generally it was a pleasure speaking to you. The only thing now is, Alexandra, please drop in on the 17th. Amina, like I said, from Morocco.
Okay, I will have a look.
That's at 6 o'clock our time, my time, India time, on the 17th. I'll send you the Zoom link. And just drop in, because she'll feel better that there is. I'm telling you, she speaks properly. If you watch her session in the last symposium, she was perfectly all right. And she started off speaking in French, and she saw that the other person really could not translate the way she wanted it to be done. And suddenly she broke into English, and she was perfectly all right. But just drop in. She'll feel good.
Okay. I'll try to do my best. It's not always easy, but sure, I'll do my best. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
For your time, and thank you, everyone, and have a good end of day.